Right, hello again. Back for another look at Bamburgh Castle. Before we start, someone had asked me why I've got two jugs or jars of water there. It's quite easy really. One is for washing out my brushes, and the other is to put clean water on the brush. Sometimes you will use water that's a bit dirty and tinted if you want a particular tone to affect something, but I avoid doing that. We've moved on a little bit since last we spoke, or I was there. I've finished this area now along here. I'm reasonably happy with that. Darkened this off down here. Still kept some of the grey along the top there, and this I'm quite happy with. If you compare that with the original photograph, I've gone out of focus again, so I'll get that back in. I'm reasonably happy with the similarity in colours between them. We do a bit more sort of work on blending and colorising on there yet, but for the moment I'm going to just work on this bit, because if you look at the original, you will see that there's more of a ready tint there than I actually have on that drawing. So what I'm going to do is get some of my clean water in there. I've got a number 2 brush here, and I'm just going to take a little bit of the orange, keep it watered down nicely. Just take a little bit of the orange. You can see that just coming up, just lifting up a bit now. Don't want too much on there. And then on here I'm just going to put it on a little bit more. Again, I'm keeping it horizontal strokes because of the brickwork, as I keep mentioning. I know I keep mentioning it. It looks very different in real life to how it does on the camera. I must admit, the camera doesn't always do it justice. And just a little bit down on this side, just down at the bottom a bit, and just going to put a little bit on here, because that's standing proud, and that's just picking up the sun a little bit. Now again, as I said the last time, that will dry a lot less bright than it looks now. That will drop down 50% lighter. In other words, in terms of this, it'll sort of disappear more. It won't look quite so vivid. And if it does come out too vivid, as I showed you yesterday, you can lift off, or the day before, sorry, you can lift off colour with a dry brush from the wet paint, and then you can recolorise it as necessary. Now, when we look at this here, you can see where I darkened down, there's quite a sort of a tide mark there of paint, which when you look at the original, it's there, but it's much more subtle. So we need to blend that in a bit, and we do that with a slightly damp brush. So just to sort of flatten the edges down a little bit. Takes a little bit of the colour out as well. I'm not too worried about that. Just want to soften those edges down. And if you use a slightly damp brush, you can blend that in quite nicely, and you can see there's quite a difference there now. Again, this looks a lot darker on the camera. I don't know how it comes out in the finished video, but on the camera it looks a lot darker and a lot more vibrant than it actually is in reality. So you can hear me putting the brush in the water. What you don't know after, so I have this towel on here, so that I can just dab the brush on the towel, take the excess moisture out of it, and then I can come into to doing the drying off, if you like. So it's just a case of trying to even this up a bit, and you'll notice I'm still using horizontal strokes. Everything I'm trying to do here will be horizontal because I want the lines to remain looking as if they're brickwork. And again here, just take off some of that harshness of that edge. I'm going to be putting in darker colours, not too dark, but some darker colours on there, just to give the indication of the brickwork, which I'll do in a moment. Again, just soften this off. So there's a highlight on there, I want to keep that in, I like that. So I think that's about right. The other thing we're going to do with these windows, it's all very well having them nice and bright. It looks like they're nice light rooms, but what I actually need to do is darken them down a little bit to make it look like maybe there's a bit of dirt or rain smear or something on them. So we do that now. So back to the good old Payne's grey there. What I want to do is just down a little bit from the top of each one, just put a little bit of Payne's grey. It doesn't look much there, but I'm hopeful it'll just be enough to take some of that shine off the windows and just make them look a little bit grubby and dirty. It's amazing how bright they look in the viewfinder, and I've not got to do this painting by looking in the viewfinder. I must stick to looking at the actual picture that I'm painting. It's very tempting, actually. I mustn't do that. Right, so I'm happy with that. That's just brought it down a little bit. And then we've got these windows here. Now, they are annoying me a little bit because, as you can see in the original picture, the frames are really quite bright and the windows are a bit dark, and I've not managed to get that effect here yet. So I think what I'm tempted to do is just put a little bit of gouache on those struts and lighten them up and then colorize them a bit. So let's try that now. Right, as you can see, I've not got very much on the end of the paintbrush at all. I don't want too much on there, but the centre window struts in particular are quite bright from there. And then along on the windowsill too. And these ones just a little bit brighter. I could probably leave these ones just with the gouache, but I'll see how we go. And there is also, if you notice, some lighter brickwork under here, which I should have left when I was doing the original painting, so that will have to be put in with the gouache. So again, I'll just go a bit more on the brush, and I shall just pop that in there now, and there we go. And I will add to that with other areas around here that need some slightly lighter bricks, but there's also some more dark work to go in there as well. So I'm going to get on with that, and that bit there, we need to make that look a bit more 3D. As you can see there, it's missing a bit of a highlight, so I shall put that in. In fact, let me do that now, hopefully. Right, so we'll come back in a moment, and you can see what I've done. Hopefully not all that was too much out of focus. I'll come back shortly. Right, as you can see now, I've completed. Whoops, zoomed in there, didn't mean to. I've completed most of the colouring in here. Again, it looks a lot darker on the video than it is in real life. It's quite bizarre. That must be the camera. Anyway, there's a few little bits to finish off here, just to make things look neater, and that's the penmanship, or the pen work I should say. I'm using a 0.05 pen, which I suppose, yes, there we go, you can see that. Very fine tip, and I'm using that just to reinforce the lines of the windows and things, the details that have got a bit lost with the overpainting. It is a pen and watercolour painting, so I want the pen work to be fairly obvious, which hopefully it is. You can see there how the pen work is obvious, and I want it to be. That's not an accident. That is actually what it's meant to look like. Probably hear my wife disciplining the dogs in the background. She does puppy walking for guide dogs, plus we've got our own dog, and we've got a new puppy. Well, we've had him 6 months now. He's 6 months old. We get them from about 8 weeks, and he's still in the puppy stage, so he sometimes needs a firm hand, or a firm voice I should say, to get him to behave. So here I'm just reinforcing the window frames that we did earlier. There's one of the dogs barking in the background there, you can probably hear. I think the vacuum cleaner's on, always sets them off. So that's just bringing back to life some of the lines that got lost when the paint went on. Okay, so that's that. Probably looks a little bit better from a distance. Probably doesn't look quite so dark and garish, scary. I think it's going to look nice, really nice when it's finished. Getting some nice depth in the drawing now. Nice feel of the towers coming forward, and then the walls recessed back. And again with those buttresses, I think it's coming on really nice. This bit along here is greenery. It's rock and greenery, and this bit in the front is grass. Mainly, it's not lawn exactly, more like meadow. So that will add the final dimension to it. You normally work in thirds on a picture, and you don't often have the subject matter dead in the middle, as with this one. It would normally be up at the top or down the bottom, but I just like the composition of the photograph, and I want to keep it that way. And so this bit on the photograph I've actually extended so that the castle is actually going to be in the middle of the painting. Right, dog barking in the background, better go see what he wants, and we'll come back to this again another time. Thanks for watching.